My guess is that you're here today learning new things because there's something inside of you that tells you it is possible to create something different. Maybe you have a different perspective, a new way of doing things better or faster, or a totally different perspective that you think might be useful to other people. And even if that part of you that believes in yourself is still really small and doubts sometimes, which we all doubt from time to time, there's this little flame that's burning that is sort of lighting your way toward that vision of what you know might be possible for you. Maybe you envision a life where work is energizing and there's this momentum that just keeps going and sweeps you along, where you get to be yourself and make money doing what you really love doing. And because you're a hard worker, you've probably been putting in the hours to bring this vision into reality, right? And you maybe have taken on clients that weren't your favorite clients. They're sort of those just for now clients who sort of fill the gap while you're building your business. And maybe you've had to learn things that you didn't really want to have to learn, like tech or building a website or editing or keeping a spreadsheet or finances. And maybe you've been working yourself really, really hard, maybe even to exhaustion, because you can see what is possible just on the other side. It's almost like you can taste it. It's right there. You can see how your life is going to be once you build this thing that you're building. And you know, when your shoulders start to ache and your neck hurts from sitting at your computer for so long, you just put in those earbuds and you put your head down and you keep working hard. The problem is that doing this over and over and over again is just going to lead faster and faster to burnout. That little flame inside of you just needs more oxygen, but instead, over time, it's getting less and less fuel. And you're keeping it alive on the possibility, on the hope of what you're creating, of what's possible for you to live someday if you can just hang in there long enough to get there, to build what you're building, and then you can enjoy it. Then you can live that life that you envisioned for yourself. I'm Annie Kipp, and I am here to challenge that idea and to tell you that you can and you should enjoy the journey, because this is what I do every day as a business and strategy coach, and also because I'm an entrepreneur too, and I have lived what I'm talking about today. I'm here today to draw a line in the sand and say that grinding and hustling are not sustainable. That when we participate in this, we are actually contributing to a narrative that says that we are only valuable for our labor, and that we have to work really hard and drive ourselves into exhaustion in order to be worthy or to earn that life that we envision for ourselves. This old narrative is not working for us. If we want to build businesses that feel exciting and energizing, we can't separate the journey from the destination. We have to use the journey. We have to learn while we're on our way about how we work best, what really matters to us. That way, we can build businesses that let us feel the way we want to feel every day, not just when we get there. Today, I'm going to share a different strategy, a concept called soft ambition, which is a way of living and working that honors our personal values, our natural rhythms, and the desired impact. And let me be very clear about this. Soft ambition is not about having no ambition. We are ambitious people and we want things for ourselves. The difference is that with soft ambition, we include the journey as part of our goal. We want to feel good every day, not just when we get there. And the good news is this isn't super complicated. I've created a grid framework so that you can see how this looks. You can even download a worksheet from my website that outlines the things that I'm talking about today and gives you a place to record your own insights and the things that you're realizing as we're doing this work together. We're going to do a big picture overview of soft ambition today so you can start incorporating this into your daily life right away. And I'm also going to give you some really specific real-life examples so that you can start seeing yourself in some of these situations. I know some of you are going to be able to take this information and run with it, and I really hope you do. This is the work that I do with my one-on-one coaching clients, but I want everybody to have access to this information. So I created some self-coaching tools that might be interesting to you if you want to dive into this a little bit deeper on your own. There is the Soft Ambition Self-Coaching Workbook, and there is an edition for spring and summer and autumn and winter. And this is sort of meant to feel like a conversation with me, where I am gently kind of challenging you to dig a little deeper and get the most out of each season. And you can find all of this and keep in touch with me over on my website at anniekipp.com. So let's dive into this framework so you can see how it's going to work for you. The 3 areas that we're going to work with are your personal values, your natural rhythms, and your desired impact. And for each of those areas, we follow a process of identifying your truth, which means what is, not what you wish it were, not what you hope it to be, the truth of what is true for you right now in each of those areas. And then we move into acceptance. Acceptance is all about owning and coming to terms with what that means for you. What are the implications of your truth? What is required of you now that you know your truth? And from there, you'll be in a good position to then make a deliberate choice. Being clear about your truth and accepting the implications of your truth allow you to make better choices. So I'd like you to see this as a sort of puzzle. You know, when people do puzzles, everybody has their own way of approaching it. Some people like to do the edges first. Some people see a pattern or a color and they want to work on that piece of the puzzle first. This Soft Ambition process is similar, where you can jump in at any point. If you're right in the middle of feeling totally burned out, I would recommend you head straight for those natural rhythms. Getting clear about what your natural rhythms are is going to make it possible then to really pay attention to what's true for you, and then pay attention to what you value and pay attention to the impact you really do want to have. If you're feeling a little at sea and need some direction, going towards your personal values might make the most sense. Getting clear about what you actually care about and what matters to you. And if you're thinking of expanding or trying to decide the direction of your business, going towards your desired impact and getting clear on what's true for you there can help you make decisions. This is a process you can come back to again and again, because building a business and creating your life is an iterative process. We have such diversity. We are so unique that we need something that can take into account all of our different life experiences, our different neuro makeups, our different capacities. When you're building a business, it is completely normal to have moments where you need to reset, to come back and even restart sometimes. So hold yourself with compassion here. It's fine to go back to the basics. Find your place in this framework that feels the most easeful and start with that truth. Get clear on that and everything will flow from there. This is what Soft Ambition is all about, is getting to know yourself really, really well so that you can build a business and build a life based on that really valuable self-awareness. So now that you've seen the big view of Soft Ambition, let's dive into the specific areas where I can give you some real life examples and you can begin to see how this is going to look in your own life. Starting with personal values, a lot of people think they know their personal values, but they have a little bit of a hard time articulating them. So I'd like to suggest a few ways for you to get really clear about what your personal values are. Starting with ranting. What really makes you mad? What kinds of things really offend you? This kind of area, whenever you feel that sort of emotion, is a really good clue that there are personal values involved, and those personal values are getting sort of trampled on or squished in some way. So in those moments, ask yourself, what really matters here? What would happen if this continues? Or what's important that's missing here? You know, everyone is going to have a different reaction to things. So say a car cuts you off in traffic and that upsets you. Notice what it is that bothers you about that. Is it about being responsible? Is it about being considerate? Is it about being skillful? These are ways that you can identify what are those values that really matter to you. You can journal this out, or you can get a friend to push you and ask you more questions about why this matters to you. To give you a really personal example, I hold personal values around connection and freedom and creativity. And being a coach actually feels so good to me because it aligns with these values. I get my connection value met by having really interesting conversations with people I care about every day. I get to have my freedom value met because I can do my work wherever I want to and sort of do it in a way that works best for me. And I get my creativity value met with creating these self-coaching products like the Soft Ambition Workbook and Spark Cards, which actually were such a pleasure to make. And I'm so happy every time I look at them, which is a really good clue. When you feel that way, it's a sign that you're really in alignment with something that matters deeply to you. When you're working in alignment with your personal values, work doesn't feel sort of heavy. There's a lightness to it. There's some energy and it has its own momentum. Sure, there are always going to be things that are not your favorite to do, but when you're doing work that for the most part is meaningful to you and matches your personal values, it carries you through those things that aren't so fun to do, like finances or editing. You can do those things and get through them because of the bigger purpose that you're working from. I also know that when you're working at something that isn't fulfilling for you and you don't like what you're doing, it can feel really miserable. So if you find yourself in that situation, I encourage you to use that as a data point. Being discontent or having low energy is a symptom. It is something that tells you that something is not in alignment. You may not be working on something that really matters to you. So dial it back. Figure out what the truth is for you about what really matters so that when you make a move, you will be moving towards something that is more aligned for you, more energizing, more fulfilling. Our next aspect of soft ambition is natural rhythms. To get clear on your natural rhythms, just become keenly interested in when you feel good and when you don't. Be like a scientist and notice, what time do you wake up naturally? When do you feel tired at night? What are your energy levels like during the day or during the week or over a month? And be sure to find the real truth here. If you're tired and maybe having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, figure out if that's an indication that you need more sleep or if there's something else that might be throwing you off. So much of this work has to do with just being curious about yourself. Look at your nutrition, look at your movement, look at your media consumption. See if there is a factor in there that could be tweaked to help you get to the real core truth of what your natural rhythms really are. Natural rhythms also include whether you're introverted or extroverted. This isn't so much about socializing as it is about where you get your energy. Do you get it from being with people or do you get it from being alone? Notice how you feel in different environments. Do you prefer being outside or inside? Do you like a little noise in the background or complete silence? What is that optimal balance for you of stillness and activity? What is the balance for you of having a lot of projects or having a few projects? How do you concentrate the best? Your unique neuro makeup will not be ignored. Your body will revolt eventually, and you can't sustain something that isn't natural to you. All of this is super important in determining what the truth is of your natural rhythms. And that's important because you want to pick a business model that honors those, that lets you be in your optimal environment, your optimal working conditions most of the time. And that includes how you're going to market your business. There are certain activities that you are going to feel much more comfortable doing. So when you know your natural rhythms, it makes it possible to pick the ways of working and marketing your business that feel natural, that feel comfortable, and that you can sustain over the long run. To give you an example of what this looks like in real life, I have a client who is very smart. She comes from a family that really values performance, and she has been working really hard to come to terms with her natural rhythms and also her personal values. She has a really wide range of interests, from biology and science to making things with paper to cooking to playing musical instruments, just to name a few. And she's also a really sensitive, empathetic person, and she's really impacted by other people's emotions. She has wrestled with having all these interests, but also not having consistent levels of energy to do them all. And some of the frustration she's having with her fluctuating energy levels seems to be coming from the pressure she's putting on herself and from ignoring the truth of her natural rhythms and her personal values all this time. Coming into the truth isn't always easy. Our identity is often wrapped up in the things that we've been doing. But the truth is there. We can't fake it for long. My client has worked through some mindset issues around performing and also has been making some choices that suit her better. She is honoring her values around having different intellectual pursuits, but also honoring her rhythms by taking on these low-stress situations, low-stress jobs that aren't going to wear her out and allow her to have this wide range of interests. When you know the truth about yourself and accept what that means for you, you have to make a choice. For me, I know that my truth is that I do better when I have long periods of concentration and quiet time to do my thinking and my work. This means that I am not well suited to working in an office. I spent years working in corporate and I didn't realize back then what that was doing to me, but I know I was really tired and exhausted. You might discover that something similar is true for you too. My wish for you is that when you accept the truth for yourself, you'll be able to come to terms with the implications of that and then make choices that actually support how you want to feel every day. The third element of soft ambition is your desired impact. And this is all about how you want to affect people, what kind of impact you want to have on the people around you and also on the people in the world in general. A lot of people have a hard time getting their heads around this one because we have been very heavily conditioned into believing that bigger is better, that having a large impact is more valuable. But I'm here to say that it is actually better and more brave to just own the impact that you want to have, whether it is big or small. If you have a secret desire to be famous or to be a big deal, that's fine, but you have to own the truth of that in order to make it happen. It's also completely fine if you don't want to be famous or go viral. The important thing is owning what is true for you without shame. A great example of this is a story I heard about a woman whose desired impact was to grow her family, and she was having fertility issues. And she heard that Starbucks had great health insurance and fertility treatment coverage, so she got herself a part-time job at Starbucks. This job matched the truth of what she wanted in that moment, her personal values, her natural rhythms, and that impact that she wanted to have of growing her family. And I believe the end of the story is that she did get pregnant and have a baby. Another example is a friend who's also a coach, and she has a business where she works with people on their executive function and productivity. She is also a Zumba instructor, and she has combined fitness with her coaching because she has seen the positive impact it has on her clients. Plus, it is the way she wants to impact them. She wants to include this very important part of her life in her work. We've talked about truth, so now let's talk a little bit more about acceptance and choice. Once you know your truth, you're faced with the implications of that truth. And accepting those implications means coming to terms with what that means in your life, how it looks for you to live in your truth, what's required of you, what do you need to do, and how does that shape the choices that you're going to make. Here's a good example. I have a client who cares deeply about the environment, and she also is somebody who feels best when she is living in a really natural environment and in a kind of remote location. And she wants to have a business where she is coaching and holding space for people who are working through grief and feelings about climate change. These are her truths, but she's also needing to work with the implications of that truth. So she's trying to figure out a business model that suits her, that lets her live the way she wants to live, in the place that she wants to live, and do the work that she wants to do, as well as works in terms of how she markets her business, how much she has to be on social media, what kinds of things she can do to create an audience and connect with the people who care about this work. She's sorting through where she's willing to stretch herself in order to live according to her truth. Sometimes during this process, your truth may come into focus a little bit more. If you thought your truth was that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, you may, in the process of coming into acceptance of the implications of that, realize that you really actually value your quiet time or peace or freedom more than being an entrepreneur. And in that case, your truth is going to shift. It is perfectly okay to readjust your truth according to the new information and new self-awareness that you come to. This is an opportunity to give that part of yourself that is a super hard worker a new role. Give it a new job, building a life for you that doesn't exhaust you, that doesn't make you cringe when you think about how you need to put yourself out there, and allows you to interact with people in a way that feels fulfilling and right for you. There's a really big difference between the hard work of fighting with yourself and this sort of exploration hard work of soft ambition. It's more vulnerable to do this work. Coming to the truth of what really matters to you really makes you look at yourself. And then coming into acceptance of the implications of that truth and what it looks like for you to actually live your life according to that truth is hard work. And then add to that that you might have to make choices that might seem selfish to some people, or might inconvenience people, or make people question you or doubt you. I'm here to remind you that you are the expert on yourself. You know, we look at people that we admire and we think that they're so confident and unique, but the truth is they're only just being themselves. And when we try to do what other people do, we are totally overlooking that power that we have, that comes from our uniqueness, that comes from what we're really interested in, comes from the way we do things naturally. When we try to do things like other people or follow a one-size-fits-all blueprint, we are completely ignoring the power of being unique, the power of our own way of seeing things, our own way of operating in the world, and those deep desires that are uniquely ours. That little flame inside of you just needs more oxygen. And the way to fan that flame and to give it more oxygen is to get to your truth and start living it. What makes you, you is the important thing. When you're living in alignment with your personal values, your natural rhythms, and your desired impact, it creates its own energy. It will allow you to create the experiences that you're really wanting for yourself on an everyday basis, more pleasurably, more easily, more effectively. Yes, it takes effort to figure out your truth. And yes, it may take some soul searching to figure out how to accept what that truth means for you. And yes, it may be that you have to make some difficult choices. But I don't know any other way to build a business and a life that actually works for you. Soft ambition is about doing this internal work to find the easeful way. The process of doing this work is just as valuable as the outcome. Learn from your day-to-day experiences. Take that information and use it to build a business that lets you be yourself, do what you love, share your gifts, and live the way you want to live every day. Living with soft ambition means valuing your journey just as much as your destination.